Hello everyone. So today we are here to discuss the concept of finite state machines. So we will see the introduction part of the finite state machines (FSM), as well as we will see the concept of some theorems we have, okay, and the capabilities and limitations, as well as some properties and some important definitions. So we will discuss the introduction part of this FSM. Okay. So firstly, what is an FSM? FSM is a thing that it is an finite state machines. That means a sequential circuit which consists of a finite number of combinations or finite number of states. You can call them as a finite state machine. Machine is nothing but it is the other name of circuit. Okay. So finite state machine is nothing but it is a circuit, sequence circuit which consists of finite number of states. Okay. Clear? So the synchronous or the clocked sequential circuits. Okay, what is a synchronous circuit? We can call this as an clocked circuit. Why? Because the timing concept of all the n number of flip-flops present in the sequence circuit will be same, operated by a single clock pulse. That is called a synchronous, or the other name of this nothing but clocked sequential circuits. Okay, the synchronous or clocked sequence circuits are represented in two different models. Okay, one is Mealy type of model, that is called as Mealy circuit. What is Mealy circuit? The output of the circuit depends upon the present state of the flip-flop as well as inputs. Okay, so remember that in the Mealy type of representation in the sequential circuit, the output depends upon the present state as well as the flip-flops. Okay, sorry, present state of flip-flops as well as inputs. Okay, the output of Mealy circuit always depends upon two conditions. One is the present state of the flip-flops and then the current inputs. Okay, clear? And the second type of representation is Moore circuit. Okay, second type of representation is Moore circuit. What is Moore circuit? The output depends only on the present state of flip-flops. Okay, what is the difference between these two? So in Mealy type of representation, the output depends upon both the present state of flip-flop as well as inputs. But in the case of Moore circuit, the output depends only on the present state of the flip-flop. Okay, on the present state of the flip-flops. Here, no inputs will be present here. Okay, so observe the difference between these two. Mealy circuit means output is depending on the present state of flip-flop as well as inputs. Moore circuit means output depends only on the present state of the flip-flop. Okay, next. The other name of the sequential circuit is called as sequential machine. Just now I said that machine is nothing but it is a circuit which consists of finite number of states which are sequential. So we call it as an FSM, finite state machine. Okay, you can call this a sequential circuit as also as sequential machine. Therefore, Mealy circuit is called as Mealy machine. Moore circuit is also called as Moore machine. Okay, so please remember that the word circuit can also be called as a machine. Why? Because it is an operator which accepts the input and gives the respective outputs. So you can call the circuit as machine also, no problem. Okay, remember that these synchronous sequential circuits are represented in two different models. One is Mealy circuit and the other one is Moore circuit. Okay, here the output depends on the present state of the flip-flops and the inputs. And in case of Moore circuit, output depends only on the present state of the flip-flop. Okay, next. So if you see the mathematical representation of this particular Mealy and Moore, the relation between the present state, suppose if you take S of t is your present state of the flip-flop and X of t is the input of the flip-flop and S of t plus 1 is the next state. If S of t is the present state, t plus 1 will be the next state of the flip-flop. Okay, so the relation between the present state, present input and next state. Okay, their notations are given here. Present state is taken as S of t, present input is taken as X of t, and the next state is taken as S of t plus 1. Okay, so the relation between them is given as the next state value is equal to, that means S of t plus 1 is equal to del of S of t comma X of t. That means it is nothing but it is a transition state. Okay, del is called as state transition function. Okay, here del is called as state transition function. So the next state value of a flip-flop is equal to del of the present state as well as the input. Okay, the next state of the flip-flop is equal to del of present state s of t comma present input x of t. So del is called as state transition function. Okay, next. Then how can you represent the z of t? The output z of t of this particular sequential machine is derived as, so output z of t is equal to lambda of s of t comma x of t. This is the condition when you prefer Mealy circuit. Why? Because in the output of Mealy circuit is depending on the present state of the flip-flop as well as inputs. In the previous slide, we have discussed that in the Mealy circuit, the output is going to depend upon the present state of the flip-flop as well as input. That's why z of t is equal to lambda of s of t comma z of t. Suppose in the case of Moore, in Moore circuit, only the output depends upon the input only. Okay, depends upon the, sorry, depends on the present state only. Okay, that's why it is given as S of t. Okay, so if you see the previous slide, see, it is nothing but present state of flip-flop as well as inputs. That's why S of t and X of t. But here it is only the present state of the flip-flop. Okay, it depends only on the present state of the flip-flop. Okay, that's why the value is given like this. See here, S of t is the present state, X of t is the input. So present state as well as inputs, these two are responsible for the output in Mealy machine. But only the present state is responsible for output in Moore machine. That's why Z of t equal to lambda of S of t comma X of t. This is the condition regarding Mealy circuit. Only S of t is the condition regarding Moore circuit. Okay, so it is very important, the mathematical representation of this sequential circuit. Okay, now we will see how to convert the Mealy representation to Moore representation. So you should know how to convert a Mealy representation to Moore representation. So in general, the Mealy representation will be like this. This is a state A, this is state B, and this is nothing but input, this is nothing but output. Okay, this is input, this is output. So for each and every input combination, output will be specified separately in case of Mealy. So how will we convert the same in case of Moore machines? See here, the state A is getting output as 0 in all the conditions. Okay, see here, this is the output. If you take in the form of A by B, if it is represented like A by B, A is called as input, B is called as output. Okay, so if you see clearly, the incoming arcs of A, state A, is getting outputs 0, common. Okay, so take 0 inside within the state, right, like this. Take the output, output is common for all the inputs. That's why take that output 0 and write inside this state box. Okay, in Moore circuit, you will represent output within the state only. Like this, you should represent. Okay, so A by 0. And what are the inputs we are having? Here 1 is having, 0 is having, here 1 is having. So write them as it is, 1, 0, 1. Okay, what we have done? We have just taken this output into the box, into the circle. Okay. Then what about B? B is consist of only one incoming arc, only one incoming arc, and that is also consisting output 0. So directly take 0 within the circle and represent the one input as it is. And what about T4? This T4 circle, it is not a state, it is nothing but it is a terminal of the another link. So directly you take 0 and you can skip this one. Why? Because there is no state here. Suppose if it is any state, then you can put by 1 like this. But we don't have any state there. So that's why you erase this 1. Why? Because it is an output. So erase this and just to keep 0 and implies with T4. Okay, clear? So how will you do? Observe the outputs. Observe the outputs. If all the outputs are same, take that output into the circle and keep the same input values as it is. And see here, here also only one incoming arc. That's why take that 0 within the circle, B by 0 in this format, and keep that input 1 as it is here. Input 1 as it is. Okay. So like this, you need to convert a Mealy circuit to Moore circuit. So we have one more model. Suppose if, see in this condition outputs are same. Suppose if outputs are not same, then how to convert? See here. See here, we are having two zeros same, but it is third one reflecting one. Outputs are not same. We are having three incoming arcs for A, but outputs are not same. If outputs are same, directly you can put into the circle. But in the previous case, we have seen that. But right now, outputs are different. Then, if outputs are different, you should segregate this A into two parts. Okay. A1, that is output regarding 0, and A2 output regarding 1. We are having two different outputs. Two combinations giving output 0 and one is giving output 1. That's why separate this A into two parts like A1, and A2. So assign A1 for the output 0, assign A2 for the output 1. So I have made this. Okay, see here. I took A1 and output is 0, and I took A2 and output is 1. So output 0 means we are having two arcs with input 1 with input 0. So copy them as it is. And for A1, for A2, we are having output 1. So output 1 means T3 is the line giving output 1. So connect this T3 to A2. Connect T3 to A2. Why? Because it is giving output 1. So take one input as it is. Okay. What we are doing, if the outputs are not same, you should separate this A into two halves or two parts like A1, A2. Okay. Remember that if outputs are not same in the Mealy format, you should convert into two forms like this. Separate A into two segregations, A1, A2. Next, what about B? Only single line is coming here. So take 0 in this B. Okay, you will get like this. In previous section, we have separated A's two types. Okay, we separated the entire A. This is nothing but your entire A. This is entire your A state is segregated into two halves. So as A is giving to input, okay, as A is passing towards B for input 1, so you should write this A1 to 1 and A2 1. Why? Because A1, A2 entirely combinedly form the state A. Okay, just for our convenience, we converted A into two halves. But as per the original diagram, A should move to B under the input condition 1, so that output will be 0. So here B output is 0, but A1 should move to 1 as well as A2 also should move to 1. Why? Because A1, A2 are the internal states of the main state A. Okay. Next. What about T4? It is not a state. That's why you just erase this one. Same as previously. Draw a line from T4. Here also T4. Why two times? Here A is given. From A it is passing. That's why as we divided A into two parts, we should write two T4s. Okay, you should write two T4 arcs. Why? Because A is divided into two halves. Okay. Next. Next, conversion of Moore to Mealy, the reverse operation. See here, we are having two states. One state with 0, one state with 1. So combine them as a single state A. Combine them. Okay, combine these two states as a single state A. And for one input, output is 0. So 1 by 0. Reverse of the previous one, 1 by 0. And for 0 input, 0 output. So 0 by 0. For one input, 1 output. So 1 by 1. And this A and B both are going to C. That's why directly take A is going to C and input is 0, output is 0. That's why 0 by 0. Okay. Next, here also same format. Here A is common. Sorry, 0 is common for all the three inputs. So take out 0 outside, you will get 1 by 0. Take 0 outside, you will get 0 by 0. This 0 outside, 1 by 0. That we got here. Next, take this 0 outside, you will get 0 by 0 and you will get the same mark to B. And this 1 outside, you will get 1 by 1 and you will get C. Okay, it's very easy. Practice them properly. Okay. Next, now we will see the capabilities and limitations of FSM. So what are the capabilities of a finite state machine and what are the limitations we have in case of finite state machine? Okay, so the first capability is the periodic sequence of finite states. So this FSM can generate a periodic sequence of finite states. Why finite states? As it is a finite state machine, it consists of a finite number of states, and those finite number of states can be in a periodic sequence. That means with n state machine means this n decides your finite number. With n decides your finite number. Suppose if it is 3-state machine, 4-state machine, 5-state machine. So this value of n indicates your finite number. Okay. So with n state machine, we can generate n states or n similar than n states. Okay. See, for an 2-state machine, we will have two states, two finite number of states. For a 3-state machine, we will have 3 states. Like that, for n state machine, we can generate n number of finite states. Okay, we can generate a periodic sequence of n number of finite states. Okay, and what is the second one? Here, no infinite sequence can be generated. Why? Because as they are consisting of only finite number of states, you cannot generate an infinite sequence. You cannot generate an infinite sequence. See here, infinite sequence cannot be produced by the finite state machine. Why? Because we consist of only a finite number of states, right? We consist only the finite number of states. So on that purpose, we cannot generate an infinite sequence. And the third one is, it is a limitation that it is an consisting of a limited memory. The same reason, as we are having finite number of states, so in general we require a limited memory. So as this FSM consisting of limited memory, it cannot produce the certain outputs. It cannot produce the certain outputs which regarding to the infinite sequence. Okay, it can't produce certain outputs which regarding to the infinite sequence. So what are the capabilities and limitations means? The first one is periodic sequence of finite states can be generated by FSM. And second one is no infinite sequence can be generated by the FSM. And third one is due to the limited memory, it cannot produce some certain outputs. Okay, so these are the 3 capabilities and limitations regarding the FSM. Okay. Step. Now we will see some important definitions. Okay. Why? Because in the coming topics, we need to understand these definitions. Okay, we will use some terms, we will use some terminology, and we need to know what is the meaning of those terminology. Okay, so firstly, we will observe one small circuit. This is an example. Kindly observe this. This is an example. So suppose. So by seeing this circuit, you can clearly observe that it is an Mealy type of circuit. Why? Because output, input by output, input by output, input by output. So for each and every arc, you find input by output. That's why this diagram is the representation of Mealy circuit. Okay. Now, what is the first definition that we are going to see is successor. Very important, successor. What is meant by successor? Suppose, if you see here in the same diagram, the state A, okay, state A is moving to state B. Okay, I am taking one small example from the same diagram. Carefully observe. State A is moving to state B. See this line, this line. When input is 1 and output is 0. Okay, state A is moving to state B when input is 1. At that moment, output is 0. Then you call this B as one successor of A. You call this B as one successor of A. Okay, carefully observe what is meant by successor. Okay, you call this B as one successor of A. In the sense, A is being successfully moved to B when input is 1. That's why it is called as one successor of A. Okay, B is called as one successor of A. Okay, likewise, how can you say for C comma D? Observe here C and D relation. C is moving to D when it is having input 1. So D is called as one successor of C. D is called as one successor of C. Why? Because when input is 1, C is successfully moving towards D. That's why D is called as one successor of C. Suppose if you want to see the relation between C comma A, C is successfully moving towards A when input is 0. So A is called as zero successor of C. A is called as zero successor of C. Zero successor of C. Okay, this is the meaning. Okay, what is the condition means? Suppose if one state is moving to other state, first of all, you identify for which input it is moving. Suppose if it is moving for the input 1, it is called one successor. Suppose if it is moving for input 0, it is called zero successor. Okay, clear? So, in general, what we can say, when a state A is moving to state B, okay, when state A is moving to state B for the input 1, then B is called as one successor of A. B is called as one successor of A. Suppose state B is moving to state C, okay, state C at input 0, then you call this C as zero successor of B. It's called as zero successor of B. It means that we are at the B state for the successful of A transition. Okay, A is successfully transmitted to B, or A is successfully moved towards B for the input 1. That's why it is called as one successor of A. Which one? B. B is called as one successor of A. C is called as zero successor of B. Very, very important. Please learn this successor concept. Okay, clear? If the state A is moving to state B for input 1, then B is called as one successor of A. Okay, be clear in that part. Successor means if A is moving to B for input 0, it is called as zero successor of A. Which one? B. B is called as zero successor of A. Okay, next. What is next important definition? Terminal state. So in a sequential machine or in a Mealy circuit or Morse, whatever it may be, in a sequential machine, a state which consists of no outgoing arcs. The state which consists of no outgoing arcs. Or you can say that the state which doesn't consist of outgoing arcs is called as terminal state. See here, the state A, we are having one outgoing arc. Outgoing means it should move from one state to other. So A is moving towards B. That's why it is an outgoing arc. So A is not terminal state. See B here, B is moving towards C. So it is not terminal state. Now see, go with C. C is moving towards D. So C is also not a terminal state. If you carefully observe this D, this D does not having any outgoing arcs. It is consisting of only self-incoming. It is a self-incoming arc. But D is not moving to any other outgoing. Okay? You don't have any outgoing arcs like this. That's why you call in this diagram, you call this D as an terminal state. We call this D as an terminal state. The state which doesn't consist of any outgoing arcs is called as terminal state. Okay, so in this diagram, D is called as your terminal state. Why? Because this D is not going to any other state. So no outgoing arc is present here. That is called terminal state. Okay, next last one, strongly connected machine, SCM. What is strongly connected machine means? The circuit or a machine which doesn't consist of terminal state. That means in a circuit, terminal state should not exist. In that condition, we call that particular circuit as SCM. Suppose if I change the circuit, see here, if I change like this, D to A again, and if I write 1 by 0 like this, for example, if you take like this, okay, then if you see here, D is consisting an outgoing arc towards A. Therefore, D is not a terminal state. So A is not terminal state, B is not terminal state, C is not terminal state, D is also not terminal state. So all the four states present in this diagram are not terminal states. So in this entire circuit, no terminal states are there. Therefore, it is called as an SCM. Okay. The circuit or a machine which doesn't consist of any terminal states is called as an SCM. Okay, suppose if your diagram is changed to like this, then this is an SCM. But this is our original diagram, so this is not an SCM. This is not an SCM. Why? Because D is an terminal state. As D is an terminal state, this particular diagram is not an SCM. Suppose if you want to convert this diagram into an SCM diagram, you can make one more outgoing arc for D, so that D will not become as terminal state. Therefore, no terminal state will be occurred, so that it will convert into SCM. Okay. Remember that the first definition is successor. What is successor? If a state A is moving to state B for input 1, then B is called as one successor of A. If state D is moving to state E for input 0, E is called as zero successor of D. Okay, clear? And what is second definition? Terminal state. What is terminal state? The state which doesn't consist of any outgoing arcs. Outgoing arcs means it should not reflect any movement towards other state. Okay, so see here, D is an state which doesn't consist of any outgoing arcs. It is an self-incoming. It is an self-incoming. Don't treat like it is an outgoing. It is an self-incoming. Outgoing means it should go and touch with any other state. D should go to A, or D should be to C, or D should be like that. Okay, D is coming to itself. So it is an self-incoming arc. It is not an outgoing. Outgoing means this D should go and contact with either A, C, or B. But we don't find like this. So D is called an terminal state. Why? Because no outgoing arcs are there. And the third one is SCM, strongly connected machine. The circuit or a machine which doesn't consist of any terminal state. Okay, your circuit should not consist of any terminal state. In that condition only, you can call it as an SCM. Okay, be careful reminding this. Okay, next. Now, one important theorem, nothing but state equivalence theorem. How can you say that two states are equal in an FSM? Okay, in an FSM, see the two states SA and SB are equivalent if and only if and only if for every possible of input X sequence, the outputs are the same and the next states are equivalent. Okay, what is the condition? You can say two states. For the time being, I take as SA and SB. Okay, I name it as SA comma SB. Okay, two states SA and SB are said to be equivalent if and only if the outputs are same and the next states are equal. Okay, remember that for the input value, for any input sequence, two states are said to be equal if and only if the outputs are same as well as the next states are equal. Okay, see, that means the next state value, see, SA of t plus 1. Okay, if SA of t is the present state, SA of t plus 1 is the next state. SB is the present state, SB of t plus 1 is the next state. Okay, and ZA is the output of SA, ZB is the output of SB. So what I am saying here, if I want to say SA equal to SB, the two states are said to be equal. The two states are said to be equal if and only if the next states are equal and outputs are equal. Very, very, very important statement. Okay, it is a very important theorem. Okay, remember that any two states are said to be equal if and only if their next states as well as outputs both should be equal. Okay, two states SA and SB are said to be equal if and only if their next state values as well as the output values should be same. Then only you can say the two states are equal. Otherwise, you cannot say them as an equal. Okay, see the condition. The two states SA and SB are equal. SA and SB are equal only when the next states are equal as well as outputs are equal. Both conditions should be satisfied. Next state should be equal as well as output should be also equal. Okay, next state should be equal and output should be also equal. Otherwise, you cannot say it as an equal states. Okay, so it is a state equivalence theorem. Very, very important. Two states are said to be equal if and only if their next states are equal and outputs are equal. Clear? And now we will see the important topic, distinguishing sequence. Very, very important topic, distinguishing sequence. See, two states are said to be distinguishable. Two states SA and SB are said to be distinguishable if there exists at least one finite sequence when applied to consist of an different output sequence. In the previous statement, what we have seen, when the outputs are equal and next states are equal, they are said to be equivalent states. They are said to be equivalent states. And now what I am saying, outputs should not be equal. If outputs are not equal, then these two are states, call it as an distinguishing states. Okay. Outputs not equal means distinguishing states. Output equal means equivalent states. Okay. Please remember. Okay. Two states SA and SB are said to be distinguishable when outputs are not equal. Next states may be equal or not equal. That's not depend here. See, suppose if we have two states A comma B, carefully observe. And for these two, we will have next states and we will have outputs. Okay. Here. Now see what I am saying here. These two states A comma B are said to be equal when the next states both should be equal and outputs also should be equal. Okay. When the next state values are equal as well as outputs are equal, then you can say A and B are equivalent states. Suppose if outputs are not equal, ZA is not equal to ZB, then you can say A comma B as an distinguishable states. Output are equal means equivalent states. Output not equal means distinguishable states. Okay. In the distinguishable concept, the next state values may be equal or may not be equal. That is none of the matter. But in the distinguishing concept, only you verify outputs. Okay. In the distinguishable sequence or distinguishable states, you should verify only the outputs. Okay. The next state values may or may not differ. That is no problem. If outputs are not equal, then definitely they will consider as distinguishable states. Okay. See the two conditions. Two states are said to be equal if the next states as well as outputs both should be same. But in the case of distinguishable concept, two states are said to be distinguishable if and only if the outputs are differing. Outputs are different. Here, no next state concept or next states may be equal or may not be equal. That is none other concept here. Okay. In distinguishable sequence, we only concentrate on outputs. But in equivalence theorem, we should concentrate both on next states and outputs. Okay. These two should be equal. Next state should be equal. Output should be equal. In the case of equivalent circuits, equivalent states. But in the case of distinguishable states, you should verify only the outputs. If outputs are not equal, then you can say the two states are distinguishable states. Okay. Now we will see. See, suppose if two states having distributed sequence of length k, then it is called as k distinguishable sequence. Okay. So what is length k? So we will go on comparing the outputs. Suppose for 3 comparisons or 4 comparisons, we got the outputs are different. It is called 4 distinguishable sequence. So for k number of comparisons, if your output is going to differ, then that two states are called as k distinguishable states. Okay. We will see this with an example, then it is clearly understood by you. So consider this example. See here, consider this example. We are having 6 states. And each and every state consisting of x equal to 0 condition, x equal to 1 condition. Okay. For each and every condition, we are having next states and outputs. Now you are dealing with the distinguishable sequence. So you should concentrate only on the outputs. That means Z value. Okay. If it is equivalence theorem, then you should focus on these two. But as it is a distinguishable concept, you should only focus on Z values. Okay. Now, under the column of x equal to 1, okay, under the condition of x equal to 1, for the time being, I took example as A comma E states. Okay. I took the example as A comma E states. Okay. A comma E states. I selected two states and I'm explaining these two, whether these two are distinguishable or not. See, state A under x equal to 1 condition. See the table clearly. State A, when x equal to 1, what we are having? D comma 1. D is next state, 1 is output. So right here. And what about E? We are having F comma 1. So right here, F comma 1. So when you observe here, the outputs are same. 1 and 1. So as per the definition, when the outputs are different only, you should get distinguishable concept. So as outputs are same, drag this D here and drag this F here, and again observe D comma F. So what is D comma F? B comma 0. Okay, under x equal to 1, the state D consisting of B comma 0, and state F under x equal to 1 getting C comma 0. Again, if you observe here, both outputs are same. See, outputs are same. Here also outputs are same. Next, same process. Drag the B here, drag C here. Again, go for B, D comma 0. So write D comma 0. And what about C? B comma 1. So B comma 1. And when you observe here, at this particular point, we got different outputs. Very, very important. At this particular point, we got different outputs. The outputs are different. So this is the first comparison. This is second comparison. This is third comparison. So at the third comparison, we got the different outputs. That's why it is called as three distinguishable sequence. Previously, I said that for k number of comparisons, if you got a distinguishable condition, it is called as k distinguishable sequence. Okay, k distinguishable sequence. Like that, in this example, under x equal to 1 condition, for the inputs of a comma e, okay, the states a comma e under x equal to 1 condition, they are three distinguishable. Why? Because until you perform three comparisons, we didn't get the outputs as different. Okay, you can stop the process when your outputs are got different. Okay, see here, I took the question as a comma e, the initial states a comma e, but I found these values outputs are same. Okay, under x equal to 1 is important. Under x equal to 1, why? Because we are having two conditions here. So you should see the x equal to 1 condition. Okay, don't bother about this. Okay, you see about x equal to 1 condition. Okay, now as we are having outputs are same, I cannot say them as distinguishable. So copy the states D2 here, F2 here as it is, and then again find out D under x equal to 0, you will get D comma 0. Find F under x equal to 0, you will get C comma 0. Okay, under x equal to 1, D represents B comma 0. Under x equal to 1, F represents C comma 0. Again outputs are same, 0, 0. Again outputs are same. First condition is same, second condition is same. So take again condition. Take B back, C back. Next, what about B? D comma 0. Okay, D comma 0. Here B comma 1. And now we got outputs are different. Outputs are different. So you should continue this bringing back process. Okay, you should continue the same process. Okay, until you get outputs are different. Okay, suppose here also if you got same outputs, bring back D here, bring back C here, continue the same process. Okay, this entire process should be followed until you get the outputs are different. Until you get outputs are different. Okay, so here for the third comparison, we got outputs are different. Therefore, it is called as three distinguishable sequence, which are called A and E. We took A and E are examples. So A and E are called as three distinguishable sequence. Okay. Now, suppose if the same A and E, under x equal to 0, whether they are distinguishable or not, we will see. Under x equal to 0, what about A? E comma 0. So write E comma 0. And what about E? C comma 0. So C comma 0. Outputs are same. So again, same the follow process. Again, we got output same. Again, follow the process. We got output same. So if you entirely follow the process, it will be continue. Definitely, you won't get any outputs different. Why? Because if you carefully observe the output section, under x equal to 0, all the values are same. So if you continue the process, if you take back E again here, if you take back C again, you will get output same. Again, do the process like this. So continuously the process will go on repeat. There will be no ending for this process under x equal to 0. Why? Because if you observe the output column of x equal to 0, all the values are same. So if all the values are same, for any condition, you won't get the different outputs. At any event, you won't get different outputs on x equal to 0. That's why A comma E never be distinguishable. They cannot be distinguished under x equal to 0. You can write that. Why? Because this process will continue. This process go on, continue. It won't come to an end. Why? Because there is no different outputs here. All the outputs are same. Then how will you get your different outputs? No, you can't get different outputs. Like this condition, you won't get here. That's why the process will go on, continue. It won't stop. So you can write that A comma E never be distinguishable under x equal to 0. Why? Because all the states consisting of outputs are same. That's why under x equal to 0, not only A comma E, any two states between these A to F will not be distinguishable under x equal to 0. That's why only under x equal to 1, you can write this distinguishable. Why? Because we are having the change in the outputs. We are having the change in the outputs. Okay. Remember that the distinguishable sequence is nothing but you have to start comparing the states until unless the outputs are different. Okay. And you count the number of comparisons. This is step number 1, step number 2, and step number 3. In third step, we got different outputs. That's why it is a 3 distinguishable sequence. Suppose for 4 steps it is having distinguishable, then it's 4 distinguishable. If 5 steps it is showing different outputs, it is 5 distinguishable. So for k number of comparisons, if it shows different outputs, it is an k distinguishable sequence. And if you find the entire table with the common inputs like this, same inputs like this, then we can say under x equal to 0, none of the given states can be distinguishable. None of the given states can be distinguishable. Okay. Distinguishable means, remember that outputs must be different. Outputs must be different. Okay. Clear? Right? So by this, the introduction concept and the important properties have been completed. Okay. In the next video, we will meet with a new topic. Okay. So please practice this. And if you have any doubts, please post in the comment section. Okay. And I hope the session is understand to you. Okay. So thank you and have a nice day.